Wake up, nigga. I felt a sharp sting on my face. You fucking abomination, wake up. I felt the sting on my face again. I took a deep, shuddering breath and opened my eyes. Ah, there you are, nigga. I looked in the direction of the voice and saw a white police officer. I tried to move my hands, but they were cuffed behind my back. I wondered why he was calling me a nigger. I was of Aryan blood. I was white just like him. Did he not know the work I put in for the Brotherhood? The Aryans had many cops among them. They helped the Brotherhood in many ways, mostly by covering up their criminal activities. Though I applaud you for killing that nigger, the cop started. He stared at me for a long moment. You're not Aryan, and you never will be. You're a nigger. I'm gonna give you some advice, boy, the cop sighed. He seemed torn. He respected Jordan for the work he has put in on behalf of the Brotherhood. Yet, the fact remained, Jordan could never be an Aryan with his tainted blood. You're going to prison for a long time. They would try to get you for a hate crime. If they do, you will rot in a federal cell. You're half nigger. If I were you, I would claim that. They can't call a black man killing a black man a hate crime. The cop looked at me for a long moment. When you get to prison, don't claim the Brotherhood. No one on the outside cares about the work you put in. You're just a nigger in there. You hear me? The cop said. I nodded. The cop shook his head, as if he knew I would not give up on the Brotherhood so easily. What he said made sense, though. If I got hit with a hate crime, I would do life and maybe more. No one knows why I killed that nigger but me. I could just say he stole some money from me, and I was trying to reclaim it when he attacked me. He was a nigger after all. He was bound to have a rap sheet. We were already at the county jail. The cop pulled me out of the back and walked me in. I felt strange. This was something I always wanted to avoid. I was being thrown into a pit, so to speak, with a bunch of niggas. I knew I would not fit in. The white power tattoos on me would make it even more difficult. Even if I didn't have the tattoos, I knew I would never fit into the black community. I was tan-skinned with blue eyes. I would never be black enough for them. But oddly enough, I was white enough to join the Brotherhood. Even if I was still treated like a mongrel. At least I was still accepted and protected. The Brotherhood was throwing me to the wolves. But could I blame them? I killed a nigger in a neighborhood that was known to be controlled by the Brotherhood. Most of all, the kill was unsanctioned. I was out of control, and my actions put the Brotherhood at risk. I had to be real with myself. I was no hero. Yes, killing the nigger earned me some respect, but an unsanctioned kill was just a murder. I was not upset with them for turning me in. Hell, in today's climate, you could barely raise your voice at a nigger without being called a racist. For a nigger to be murdered in a pro-white neighborhood was asking for Black Lives Matter to burn it down. I shook my head. My emotional reaction to that nigger calling me black almost started a race war. Despite all the talk, the Brotherhood was not ready for a race war. Our numbers were way down. Hence me with my tainted blood being in the Brotherhood. I was booked for murder and various other charges. But I knew murder was the one they wanted to pin on me. I was classified as black, despite telling the white booking officer that I was white. He looked at my hair and features and said I could choose between black or Mexican. But there was no way I was white. I was angry, but didn't have time to think about it too much. I was thrown in a cell with a bunch of darker-skinned niggers. I was the only one in that cell that was like me, that was biracial. I found a spot in the corner and sat. They all stared at me. Their eyes were going over every inch of my body that was exposed. It seemed like they were rabid dogs looking for a weakness in the dog that was thrown in their pen. It seemed all of their eyes locked on a lightning bolt on my neck at once. I knew there was going to be trouble. My heart raced. I took slow breaths to calm myself. I was scared of these niggas. They were violent animals, and I was thrown into a cell full of them. Hey nigga, what's that on your neck? A black inmate asked. I acted like I didn't hear him. Yeah, what is that shit? Another voice said. They all started to talk among themselves and point to my neck. You hear me, nigga? What's that shit on your neck? The black inmate shouted. He stood and stared at me. He started to clench his fist. I knew this would rapidly turn into violence. I was a brother of the Aryan nation. I was no coward. Even though I would lose, I would stand and face these inferior apes like the white man I was. I stood and turned to the black inmate that asked me the question. The entire cell hushed like they were anticipating the violence that was to come. "It means white power, you fucking monkey," I replied. I breathed rapidly. The room was so silent, I could hear my heart pounding in my chest. The adrenaline pumping through me was so intense, I felt like I was going to pass out. Then, out of nowhere, the inmates started to laugh. They pointed at me and laughed hysterically. "You must be mentally ill, nigga," an inmate said. He wiped tears from his eyes. "How are you a black white supremacist?" another inmate asked. "He's a real-life Clayton Bigsby," another said. They mockingly made the Heil Hitler salute towards me. I was furious, but I knew to escalate this would be foolish. I sat back down and stared at the dirty cell floor as they laughed louder and mocked me. "What are you in for, nigga?" a black inmate asked. The cell hushed up a bit. Many still laughed, but they did quietly. "Murder," I replied. Many of the black inmates shook their heads. To them, I was just a nut job, a black man pretending to be white. Maybe they were right. "When you get to the pen, you better drop that white boy shit," an older inmate said. He walked over to me and knelt before me. He seemed to have the respect of the other inmates. I didn't look up at him. I felt if I met his gaze, he would attack me like most wild animals. Those white boys in the pen won't accept you. If you go to them, the niggas won't accept you either. "It's not good to be alone in prison, youngster," the older black man said. Again, I didn't reply. This nigga didn't know what he was talking about. The brotherhood anywhere would always accept me. I put in a lot of work for them. I was a brother. "Man, fuck that confused nigga OG. Let them white boys get his pale ass," an inmate shouted. "Yeah, fuck him," another black inmate agreed. The older black man they call OG raised his hand in the air, and they all shut up. He was a man with authority. He must have put in some work when he was on the streets. "Nah, he's just a little mixed up. My brother is biracial like him, and it's hard for mixed kids, especially if they are rejected by us," the OG said. He put his hand on my shoulder. I flinched. Every inmate in the cell stood up to protect the old black man that was talking to me. "Sit down. I could handle this youngster alone if he was dumb enough to try something," the OG said. "All right, OG," many of the black inmates said. Others just looked at me. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that we are lost in the wilderness of America. That lostness is mental. Where we as his black brothers failed this biracial man, the white man did not. We left him out to dry like we do many of our biracial brothers, and the white man picked him up and turned him into a slave against his own people, the OG said. "Talk to him, brother," an inmate shouted. Allah loves this black man as confused as he is. He was placed in a cell with us, of the nation, and not with the other lost brothers who would have not understood and murdered him, the OG said. He stared at me for a long moment. The other black inmates seemed to wait on his every word, like they felt empowered by him. We are freed slaves in our old master's lands. Just like on the plantation, there were slaves that lived in the big house and slaves that lived in the shacks in the field. The house slaves thought their life was good and felt they were better than those in the field. Oftentimes, the house slaves were used against us field slaves, not understanding that we are all slaves in the end, the OG said. He never took his piercing gaze off me. Even the house slaves got a nigga wake-up call. Prison will be this black man's wake-up call. No one from the black Muslims is to touch him. Put the word out. The OG said, "Yes, Minister Farooq." The black Muslims replied. Minister Farooq leaned over and whispered in my ear, "I know you're hard-hearted, so I'll extend you an olive branch. When we go to prison, and the white devils have their way with your black ass, we will take you in if you submit to Allah." Minister Farooq squeezed my shoulder and left me in the corner. This dumb nigga and his nonsense, I thought to myself. The Aryans would never rape me. Homosexuality was against Aryan law. Most of all, I was not black. I was a proud white brother of the Aryan nation. My brothers in prison will know that. My time in county jail went quickly for me. The prosecutor sent me a deal of manslaughter. He made it clear that he did not want to deal with the political mess of a black white supremacist. If I went to trial testifying that I was an active member of the Aryan Brotherhood as part of a program to breed the black out of biracials, it would make national headlines. The prosecutor did not want that headache, and apparently neither did the judge. My silence meant more than the life of the nigger I killed. I don't know why, but for some reason it bothered me that his life meant so little in the eyes of the law. Minister Farooq was relentless in his efforts to get me to accept the wisdom of the man Elijah Muhammad. He called him a prophet for the black man. What was amusing was they taught the same thing the Aryans taught, just in a way that favored them. To them, whites were inferior. They believed they were created from bird shit in a secret lab. That white men were cursed by God, hence their pale skin and blue eyes. The Aryans taught that blacks were cursed by God, hence their black skin. That they were beasts created to serve the devil. It seemed I was torn between a white race cult or a black one. Minister Farooq pled guilty to his charge of aggravated assault and was shipped to the state prison. He, like most niggas, blamed the white man for them being there. He said a white man tried to burn down his black masjid, and he beat him within an inch of his life. I doubted that was true. The Aryans did not stray from their drug activity. They wanted to make money and increase their numbers. Bringing attention to themselves by attacking a black place of worship was not the kind of attention they wanted. If it did happen, it was probably a lowly redneck who was fed up with uppity niggers in his neighborhood. With Minister Farooq gone, I felt even more alone. The black Muslims that were still here left me alone. They put the word out that if any touched me, the Muslims would deal with them. Matthews, number 374-10086, roll up, you're shipping out. A corrections officer yelled. I guess it was my time to go to prison. I had 4 years to do, and I wanted desperately to see my Aryan brothers.